Okay, hi guys. Today I got another video for you, and this video is basically about how to get better. It's based off of two books I have read, Your Brain on Porn by Gary Wilson, which is this one right here, and Atomic Habits by James Clear, that one right there. Okay, I thought we'd begin by a very powerful quote. We all have two lives. The second starts when you realize you only have one. Comment down below if you know who said this. I like to think of life as having a score sheet at the very end. Obviously, this is a joke and a little bit pathological, but it is going to prove my point. When you die, what did you spend your time doing? You know, is it going to be nasty shit like this and this? Or is it going to be good things like this and this, right? Or, I don't know, traveling. What is it going to look like this, or is it going to look like that, right? Like what do you spend your life doing? And now part of the reason I really like this book is because this book is very scientific. As you can see over here, Internet Pornography and the Emerging Science of Addiction. This book is about addiction, which is what makes it very powerful. Atomic Habits is a good book too. Obviously, we've got about IQ Plus over here. Atomic Habits is also really good. It's kind of like a manual, pretty pseudo-scientific, but it is fun and entertaining to read nonetheless. I recommend it if you don't like reading. This is a really good book to get started on. Now, just a quick thing I forgot. Sir Gary Wilson, there you go, you drop your crown. Right now, this is a really good book. I recommend everybody to read it. Now, let's begin with the video. Now, on page 77 of this book, Gary Wilson says that drugs like cocaine and meth are addictive because they actually hijack the same mechanisms that make sex compelling in your brain. Now, what does this mean? All right, why is this worrying? He literally says, yet only 10 to 15% of rats that use addictive drugs, except nicotine, you can see nicotine's over here, ever become addicted. Does this mean that the rest of us are safe from addiction? When it comes to substances, probably yes. That is a quote from the book Your Brain on Porn. Now, why is this so scary? Because that basically means that all of this, okay, all your meth, your Coca-Cola, your alcohol, they are bad, right? They're not good. But the thing is, these things are like way more scary. Right now, am I trying to say these kinds of substances are good for you? No, but truth be told, they are not actually as addictive. Now, I don't want to talk about my personal life too much, but I've hit snow once. I don't really like it. I don't plan on doing it again, but the best way I can describe it is hitting snow is like ejaculating through your nose. Bruh. Now, if you think about what that means, think about what pornography is right here. Pornography is literally ejaculating. Out of these two things, right, you got snow, let it go, okay? And then you have pornography. Which do you think is going to be more addictive? Yes, it is probably this. I bet that these things are actually far more addictive than we give them credit for. And when you account for things like ease of accessibility, these things are just extremely scary. They make neurological changes in your brain and can reshape the way you think. And another reason these things are more addictive is because it mimics real life, right? The mechanisms in your brain that are meant to cause you to seek out social experiences, that cause you to exercise, that cause you to travel and enjoy life. These things hijack those mechanisms, which is why they make it addictive. Think about a TV show. It's like drama that kind of mimics real life. Oh, you got like friends, you got relationships. In a TV show, everybody's fucking all the time. In a TV show, everybody's also way more attractive than in real life. Haha. Right? In video games mimic progress, or they mimic growth, which is supposed to represent career growth or skill growth in real life. TikTok is just certified lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wow. Yo, that's just some pedophile shit. We're gonna talk about that later. And yeah, TV shows I explained before, right? Nicotine is roughly 45% of people who use it regularly end up getting addicted. I don't know why nicotine is more addictive than cocaine. It does feel a little bit weird to me, but this is actually true. But yeah, drug policy, I mean, again, substances, in my opinion, are trivial when you really compare to things like fast food. And I know many people are saying, oh, Sid, this is your opinion because you're like a junkie or whatever. To which I say, oh, and I hope you guys like my thumbnail. I mimicked the hook, which is the title from the book. All right, read this. Look at that. Intense sweetness surpasses cocaine reward. So yes, there is reasonable hypothesis to suggest things like this are way worse than we give them credit for. Now, okay, this leads me to the first point of getting your life in check. You need to tame your internet usage. This includes, but is not limited to, pornography, Netflix, video games, dating apps, and all that shit, all right? Now, why do we do this? Again, because they mimic real life. Now, before we progress onto the other slides, I just want to highlight the Lee Robbins Vietnam veteran heroin study, right? American authorities were scared that Vietnam veterans would come back and be junkies, but when they came back, they stopped using. Why and how? Well, it mainly has to do with a change in environment. They were in a jungle, surrounded by literal death threats, and now they came back and they're surrounded by their families and whatnot, and they managed to kick heroin addiction rather quickly. All right, now let me begin. How do you change? Well, first of all, you must believe in yourself. Now, what is Drake doing over here? All right, let's actually use, this is actually a really good example of belief. So now Drake actually believed he was black, okay? He looked at the mirror and he thought, yo, shit, dog, I'm black. And then he took action. The belief led to the identity, which led to the action. And then Drake actually printed and issued his own N-word pass. And next thing you know, he was talking wild online. In Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about identity. Who we are is where our habits come from. And identity is really just repeated being, if you think about it. What you do votes for who you are. And the vote is essentially the right now. I exercised today. This is parts of my body voting for me being an athlete. I read a few pages today. That is parts of my body voting for me being a reader. The identity is shifting your perception of self from inside. Instead of saying no thanks to a cigarette, say I am not a smoker. Now, Drake did all this, and he is clearly a culture vulture piece of shit, but this is where it gets even cooler. Identity can actually make you younger. Now, as we can see, again, Drake looked in the mirror and thought, yo, shit, dog, I'm a teen, I look pretty young. His belief influenced his identity, which caused him to take action. He DM'd a 14-year-old girl. And then he raps about lyrics like this in his songs. This is an actual lyric from his song. Certified. Cease and desist for hoes. Can't listen. So basically, as I said before, when you take actions, you end up voting for things in your mind. Good actions take you closer to a better identity. I am an athlete. I am an athlete, I'm a reader, I'm an N-word pass holder, and bad votes, negative votes, lead you closer to worse habits. Now, when trying to break from an addiction, you will always relapse, especially if it's an internet-related addiction. Oh, this is just, we don't talk about this, is just mad hell no. Especially if it's an internet addiction. And the reason is simply to do with how available and accessible it is. So don't necessarily worry about relapsing. Now, that being said, you should keep a journal. You should keep an addiction journal and track your usage of all of these things. Whether it's TikTok, pornography, TV shows, and things like that. Just track how much you do, right? And hold yourself accountable. But guilt and shame, okay? These things are going to make you weaker. And when you are weak, you are not going to be able to fight off the addiction. So be very careful with these emotions. Accountability is not the same as guilt and shame. It's very different. Hold yourself accountable, but do not become guilty and miserable and depressed. That will just make you weaker, which will cause you to relapse into this bullshit. When it comes to breaking an addiction, you need to change your self of identity, how you view yourself on the inside. So at the very start, view yourself as a recovering addict. Now, I know this might sound a little bit derogatory and scary, but you go, hey, I don't do this shit anymore. I'm trying to recover. Simply acknowledging you have a problem is usually the first step to solving it. This is part of the reason people like Gary Wilson are actually extremely vocal about things like pornography addiction, because it is not even recognized as a problem. Authorities, like psychology authorities and institutions, simply refuse to recognize internet and pornography and social media as a problem, even though we have overwhelming evidence. The book Your Brain on Porn has cites literally more than 180 studies to show that this stuff is a problem. So you need to change your identity. I am somebody who is quitting, okay? We have identity in the core center, which leads to actions. And eventually, like I said, you will relapse. But what you want to think about is right now. I am not going to watch TikTok now. I'm not going to watch porn now. I'm not going to watch TV now. I'm going to exercise now. I'm going to read right now. So again, remember how I said earlier you will relapse? Well, yes, you will. But one of the best things you can do is you can simply schedule your relapse. Here is a shitty drawing of a clipboard. And what scheduling your relapse does is it simply causes you to start fighting. Again, you got to think about it, right? For years, your brain has developed certain pathways that lead you down these pathological things. You're not going to get rid of this in one day. Even if I guess if you take mushrooms, it could wipe everything out, but it's not really going to happen. What you need to do is you need to start slowly swapping these patterns by resisting them. How do you resist them? Well, you just tell yourself, hey, look, I'll just do it later. Just fight. And it's going to be hard, yes, but what you want to do is you want to procrastinate with your addictions. Now, the idea is you don't do it now, and later you don't do it either. But, like I said before, you probably will end up doing it. But at least you are fighting and getting better. This is how you basically kick addictions. And again, do not think about the future at all. Think about now. Let's take a George Orwell quote, right? Whoever controls the present controls the past. Whoever controls the past controls the future, right? So let's forget about the past, okay? No guilt, no shame. Let's forget about the future. Let's just worry about the now. Let's get better now. Let's do the right thing right now. right? Fighting will make you stronger and you will relapse, but it's about getting back up after that. And it's about not relapsing harder, right? Don't let a slip turn into a slide. Fight and then fail and then keep fighting and then keep getting stronger and then keep increasing your standards. Keep voting differently and eventually you will become a different person. Focus on your next step and try to take it in the right direction. Do this enough times and you will be in a better place. Same analogy with voting. It compounds. Compound in the correct direction. Now we will discuss some actual hacks. So let's actually discuss some of the main tips I found in the book by Atomic Habits. And again, I recommend you read it. It's pretty nice to read. And all right, one of the main tips that really opened my eyes in this book would be the point and call method. So you point at something and you call out what is happening. And the reason this is so powerful is because it simply keeps you conscious, right? You got to make the unconscious conscious so you can consciously change it. And the reason I say this is because usually this is a neuron. This is a really shitty drawing of a neuron, right? We have neurons that lead us down certain pathways, right? This one fires and then this one fires, and you'll notice there's some extra lines here. That's because neurons that fire together wire together, so you'll have a lot of these strong patterns. So when you notice yourself going down a negative thought loop, which will lead you to relapse, this is relapsing, which is bad. Simply call it out. Say, okay, this is what I'm thinking right now. This is what I'm going to think, because again, you have identified the pattern. You know what's going to happen later, and simply call it out, and it'll give you the power to at least change it. Maybe you can stop here. Now, you might end up relapsing, but the thing is, again, we schedule it, and we do it later. And the thing is, Japanese train operators would use this to reduce the number of mistakes they made. They would simply point and call out what they were doing. This literally makes you more focused in the action you're doing right now as well. Americans introduced this system and they also found an improvement. All right, now the other tip, this is simply environment manipulation, right? In the book, Your Brain on Porn, Gary Wilson describes scenarios of how simple things like the placement of a chair and the computer would cause his subjects to basically wank again, right? This is simply because they're so conditioned to it that weird things like the placement of furniture can cause them to relapse, or being alone. Let's say you're alone and the door is closed, right? This would also cause his subjects to relapse. And what you want to do is, so first step is change your environment. Move around the furniture. Plan out your entire day so you are busy all the time and you have something to be doing. Usually be outside of the house. This is a door. I should get better at these shitty drawings. All right, whatever. And another very obvious example of this can be seen by the route you take is going to influence the decision you make. If you take a route with a McDonald's to your house, the odds of you eating simply increase. If you take the route home with the gym on the way home, then you will be more likely to stop by for a workout, or at least you will not eat the McDonald's, which is, at least you're not doing a negative habit. This is another tip in the book. Make bad habits harder. Just make them more difficult and you will not do them. And another main tip in the book is simply to just start. Do easy things first. So let's say you come back from work, right? This is your work shit, your work drip. All right, you see the $ gangster chain. So what you want to do is when you get back from work, just change into your exercise clothes. Forget about the other parts, just change. Now that's a pretty easy thing to do, right? Change your shirt and change your shoes. Do not sit on the sofa. Do not sit on the sofa, all right? And then you'll be more likely to turn on the TV. Just go, change, and put on your running sport shoes. Ideally, these should be flat, but whatever, man. I ain't a good artist. We on a budget here, right? And then what you can do is, since you're outside and you're changing into your shoes, just go down to the basement and get in your car. As you can see, the man here, he got the good drip, all right? And then just go to the gym, right? Now, these things are not necessarily difficult to do. It's not that hard to change into your exercise clothes, and it's not that hard to get into your car. Don't do the smoking, that's a bad idea. And it's probably not that hard to drive either. But the thing is, once you do this, all right, you will do this. And once you do this, you will eventually do some good shit, like exercising. One of the main things is make bad habits more difficult, make good habits easier by manipulating your environment, and then simply start. Do the easy thing first. Instead of reading a page or pages as your goal, simply say, okay, you know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to open the book. I'm going to open the book and then I'm going to read one line. That's it. Read one line and eventually you might do a little bit more. Now again, you're not going to read the whole, you might not even read the whole page on the first day, but you'll read one line. Just get yourself in the environment to do the positive activity, right? Just change into the work clothes, right? You get that big PP energy, boy, get that BDE, boy. Okay, and then drive to the, now, obviously, hopefully you'll be in a walkable city or whatever the fuck, I guess there should be a cycle, whatever, right? This is a horrible drawing. Wow, I need to get better at this shit. But you get the point, right? Just do simple things and it'll compound over time. And another thing that is pretty important is rituals. Now, why do I do this? Now, as you can see, this is the example of a parallax error, which is why you need to do things the same way each time. Okay, when you have a ritual or a certain pattern, it is easier for your brain to make links. Remember earlier how I said neurons that fire together, wire together? Well, when you make things like fixed patterns, you can form positive pathways in your brain as opposed to negative ones. And the reason it's easier to do that is because you have a fixed routine of doing the same thing every time, meaning the same pathway is going to be followed every time, making it stronger. Remember earlier we had that example of the guy being alone in his room and that made him want to do the bad thing. Well, guess what? Now we can associate this with a good thing instead because you do it the same way all the time. It's easier to replicate something if it's the same way. And another thing is you should also partition your spaces. You should partition your spaces like they partition Israel and Palestine, boy.
Cross me an alley view buried in rubble like a Palestinian child.
All right, one space, one purpose. All right, so you sort the location. All right, I have a study space, and then I have a sleeping space, and then I have a meditation space, and then I have a and so on. You do it at the right time, and you follow some kind of routine. And eventually, with a bunch of other shit in the book, this starts associations. Like I said, neurons that fire together, wire together, and it makes it easier to follow through with these habits. Now, at the end of the day, all of these tips are well and good, and there are many hacks that can genuinely make it easier for you. I might make a few more videos on them, and this is why I recommend reading the book. But at the end of the day, the book is, how do I say this, rather pseudoscientific. One of the main principles I have found, and I think everybody agrees with this, is journal, okay, about your thoughts and your mental health. That's nothing. Mental health. Watch it and meditate and cut away the screen. Cut away that content consumption bullshit. These are like general tips. And again, like I said, first, the main thing would be your identity, right? You don't just want to change from the outside, change from the inside as well. This is tackle it from both aspects. This is going to make it a lot easier for you to actually get the results you want and become a different person. Again, Rake, my man, did both. He perceived himself as a black man and he hung around with black people, which literally gave him an N-word pass, even though he grew up in a Jewish household in an extremely rich neighborhood in Canada. And next thing you know, he was talking mad and doing mad shit. So this is how powerful identity can be. Change your identity. And again, understand that you are going to fail and it's okay. You are going to fuck up. We are probably talking about like years of addiction, years of living a certain way. Change is not necessarily easy, but again, it's about failing and getting back up and trying again. Guilt and shame, keep that shit in moderation. Do not have it at all. In fact, have accountability, unlike the Singapore government. And again, focus on the now. Just think about doing the right thing right now. Right now, okay? And then over time, it will compound in the correct direction. And eventually, next thing you know, you're going to have positive pathways in your brain and you are going to become a different person. And yeah, at the end of the day, it really is up to you and you need to start trying and you need to start fighting. And it's never too late to make the change, peoples. Unless you probably did some criminal shit like, unless somebody releases like 5 fucking tracks calling you a pedophile online.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5, 8.
But whatever, it's never too late. Right, and yeah, thanks for watching my video. Good luck, and yeah, thanks for sticking around. See you in the next one, boys.